I'll jump on it. Jen,
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Oh,
want.
it is working.
Sorry, I don't know if you want, but we're all going to be on headset.
Oh, okay.
So it's me, Josh here. On, we're gonna have lighting upstairs with Jacob, and then Anne McKiernan also has one.
Okay.
So if you want, you can use it.
Okay.
It's wireless. Up is muted, and then if you bring this down, it'll talk.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
So Anne is just like favorite person. I don't know her exact title, but she's like very high up. And like the superintendent's gonna be here. There's an ambassador, but it's like right. They're all downtown, very high up in the district. Yeah, yeah. Not just like Hall or kind of like the whole West Hartford.
This is everybody.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, no, this is a big event. This is a big event.
I mean, it's kind of
Right. I mean, luckily for us, it's not that complicated of an
It
event,
isn't.
but like it just needs to go smooth and all that good stuff.
the more important people participate in it, the less they're
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So this is mine. We have extras. You have your rundown.
I have my rundown.
Okay. I'm gonna keep an extra one right up here. You have yours.
Good evening, everyone. We'll get started. Spencer, am I okay? Oh, my mom always says I talk too loud. All right, I have license this time to talk loud. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are so pleased that you could join us for this evening's special program. It is a true celebration of the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which is a footprint of the official establishment of girls' sports and how far we have come over the past 5 decades. I am Dr. Rosina Haskins, the Director of Equity Advancement for the West Hartford Public Schools. It is an honor to serve as Master of Ceremonies this evening. Tonight's event organizers have planned a robust program which will pay tribute to the passing of a bill into American law in 1972. This passing of Title IX served as a catalyst to create gender equality in sports, but Title IX has also opened doors to many other opportunities for women over the past 50 years. I stand here before you tonight with past experiences in sports and beyond, and future opportunities ahead for me, credited to the influence of the passing of Title IX. So it wasn't named just for sports, but many, many opportunities. So before Title IX, women were woefully overlooked in the sports arena and not as well supported as male athletes had been. The intent of Title IX was to change that narrative of opportunities, accomplishments, and contributions of women in America. So tonight's artistic program will illustrate just that. Let's get excited because you will hear reflections from West Hartford's past and present female pioneers as they share their stories, wisdom, and inspiration. We invite your energy because this is truly a celebration. We hope that you had an opportunity to explore the Title IX Museum, that you got to reconnect and reunite with old acquaintances and meet some new faces. I know I enjoyed that experience and I enjoy watching you come together. This is a great reason to bring everyone together tonight and for this wonderful celebration. Joining me, thank you. That's right, it's a celebration. So joining me to open tonight's program are 2 of our local leaders who work tirelessly to uphold the fundamental tenets of Title IX and equality. Let's welcome West Hartford Mayor Sherry Cantor and West Hartford Public Schools Superintendent Tom Moore.
Do you want to go first?
I think I go first. Don't stand behind podiums because they're taller than me. There we go. So thank you, Rosina. Rosina is such a fabulous leader, and I know that her sport experience, being an athlete, and all that Title IX did helped to really produce a fabulous leader that is changing lives every day. So thank you for all you do. So I have to say, so Susie Donalfo called me. Actually, she didn't call me. I called her. I was making a robocall to remind people to go out and vote, and her name came up, and she's like, Sherry? And we started talking, and an hour later, I made no more phone calls, and Susie had shared her idea to do this, and I gave her a very, very warm and very supportive push she didn't need a push, encouragement to get this done. So I want to thank Susie Donalfo for her tremendous work in getting this done. And I know there were so many people that had their hands in this, and it is so clear by the preparation, from the historic stories to the books to the pictures and the tremendous amount of outreach that they did. Thank you to everybody that was part of that team. So everybody, please give a round of applause for all the organizers. passing the torch is really the message, right? It's what we do and what we take on to give to our future. And I can't tell you how much it meant to me to have female leaders that I could look at and say, you know, I could be like that. There's no question that they shaped who I am. As you can tell, I'm a little on the small side. And it's not, you know, to build confidence, to build strength, to build all of the things that it takes to be a full person, to be a full being, me. It took my, you know, the people that helped to push me. And I want to give a special shout out to a couple of my coaches that are here, Sue Startzman Daly and Sue McCall of Courneous is here, yay. And Betty Remingino, who was always a mentor to me, and I always was trying to chase her. And I saw some of my Conard competition with the Hungerfords and gymnastics. And so, you know, really, really, it is so heartwarming and wonderful to be here. Randy Zola, Lisa Walsh, Howard, my co-captain Terry McGinnis, all the wonderful to see so many people. Ginny Jacobson I just saw before I got here, so many amazing. And I want to also give a special shout out to my council colleague, Adrienne Billing-Smith. You're going to hear her on a panel, and she was a tremendous athlete and is probably still a great athlete, but a tremendous colleague of mine. So I graduated in 1977. Yes, I'm going there. And I was a three-sport athlete, gymnastics, and so I was swimming, gymnastics, and track. And I started in tennis, and then Sue McAuliffe said I needed 2-miler, and she pulled me off tennis, and I ran 2 miles. I think it was the same day. I'm not sure. But anyway, and I never stopped running. So thank you for doing that for me. But we know the tremendous benefit girls' sports have to physical health, mental health, commitment, teamwork, camaraderie, managing time, concentration and relaxation, body awareness, nutrition, self-reliance and self-discipline, building confidence and self-esteem. It also involves citizens and leaders in their communities and their jobs and professions, often bringing skills of good sportsmanship and team building into their careers. And they will be leaders if those skills are there. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity and the ability to participate in athletics, being, again, on the smaller side. It did make me stronger. It challenged me. It rewarded me. It taught me about losing a lot more than it taught me about winning. And I know I'm better because of these experiences. And I don't think I would be standing here as the mayor of West Hartford if I didn't have those opportunities. And I know I wouldn't be able to do cartwheels and heels at parades either. So thank you to all of you that paved the way, and thank you all for being here to celebrate this wonderful milestone. Sorry, Tom.
It's all right. Making things hard for me. I was really hoping that Rosina would introduce me as former legendary freshman girls lacrosse coach at Conard, but I did that for 3 years. I assume there's some freshman lacrosse coaching Hall of Fame that I'm nominated for somewhere someday. I wrote my MA thesis on the impact of Title IX on girls' sports and participation by race and gender at Conard High School. I did that 20 years ago. This is a topic that, as the father of a daughter who participated in sports at Conard, and just somebody who believes in justice, this topic has always been dear to my heart. Coaching those girls is some of the highlights of my education career, and I can't help but smile thinking about them and how great it was. It's easy nowadays to get caught in pessimism, to get caught in nothing gets better, to get caught in things are worse than they've ever been. I think it's important to remind ourselves the words of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And this is one area we are certainly more just than we were. But it's important to always remember that it doesn't bend on its own and takes people And some of the heroes of that struggle in West Hartford are here tonight. They pulled and they kept pulling. And I'm hoping that the legacy for all the rest of us that are here is that we heed their example and we keep pulling towards justice. Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to this program. And Susie, thank you for these conversations we've had over the years. And Ann McKernan, thanks for all your work on this.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mayor Cantor and Superintendent Moore. Mayor Cantor, you are not a small person. You are a giant of your time. And she's a hula hoop champion, too. Don't sleep on Mayor Cantor. And Superintendent Moore, you are part of this legacy in your 26 plus years here in the district, and wherever your journey takes you, you will always be a part of that. Indeed, we live in a country with freedoms like no other. To honor America and in respect for all who have served this great country to defend these freedoms, we invite the audience to stand for the national anthem, which will be sung by our high school combined choirs, Conard solo choir in Hall's choraleers, alto and soprano singers. After the music selection, you may be seated for the lighting of the torch to symbolize the passing down of traditions and student remarks. Again, if you can stand, welcome vocal choirs. You may be seated for the passing of the torch. Thank you, great job. And now we'd like to bring our students up for the passing of the torch. Patty Dalton McGillett, Leah Williams, Charlotte Zigman, Lisa Walsh, Alessandra Anderson, Juliana Farquharson.
My name is Juliana Parkinson, and I'm so excited to be a part of tonight's program. Firstly, I am honored to recognize Lisa Walsh Howard. Miss Howard was a 1977 graduate of Hall. During her years here, she was a distinguished cross-country and track runner. Before girls here had the opportunity to participate in cross-country, Miss Howard was one of only a few girls who ran on the boys' teams. Thank you so much, Miss Howard. I also would like to recognize Alessandra Anderson, who is a class of 2022 member of the Hall cross-country team. Thank you for being here tonight, Alessandra. I personally gained the knowledge I have about, bless you, about Title IX from a documentary I created. That documentary focused on the battle of the sexes. So with respect to that, I would like to recognize Billie Jean King tonight. Billie was and is an amazing athlete who is a champion for women's equality in sports. The resilience of King and many other athletes show how much can be accomplished when so much is against you. The impact of Title IX is evident, but there are still inequalities in sports between the sexes. This is why this event is so important in recognizing how far we've come and how far there still is to go. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Zigman, and I'm a 5th grader at Brayburn. I would like to recognize the 2 women who passed the torch to me. First, I would like to recognize Patty Dalton McElligott, Conard class of 1979. Patty is one of only 2 students who won 3 state championships in high school all in her senior year. Patty was captain of the state championship cross-country and track and field teams and a member of the state championship basketball team. Thank you, Patty. I would also like to recognize Leah Williams. Leah is a member of the class of 2023 at Conard High School. She is an honor roll student and a member of the basketball and lacrosse teams. Thank you, Leah. Title IX is one of the reasons we are this far in society today. Girls wouldn't be playing sports at school, but more importantly, women wouldn't be so incredible in so many academic fields if this law wasn't passed. Powerful, influential women like Sally Ride, the first woman to go to space, played tennis in high school, and Malala Yousafzai, who loves playing cricket, says, "Playing sports helped give me the boldness to be competitive, resilient in my fight for girls' education and equality." Furthermore, Joan Benoit Samuelson changed people's minds about women being capable of running long distances and won the first female Olympic marathon. Who knows what other opportunities women would have missed out on and accomplishments that wouldn't have been made if Title IX wasn't passed and women didn't have so many incredible role models. Title IX is so important because of all the changes it made to the lives of girls forever.
Wow, impressive. Thank you, Juliana and Charlotte. Poise and grace, right? You know, when our speakers are up here, we've got a lot of light shining on us. We can't really see you that well, so we'll feed off of your energy. Let's show them some love. There you go. They're definitely deserving of applause, these young, amazing young people that they are. Thank you, young scholars and athletes and our music artists, for keeping the spirit alive and raising awareness about the significance of Title IX in academia, in the classroom, on the athletic field, on the performance stage, across many professions as you're here tonight and within our community. You just witnessed a ceremony of the passing of the torch and the lighting of the torch, which symbolizes Title IX in June 1972. Just a few months prior to that, there was a grassroots effort right here in West Hartford to establish an official interscholastic sports program for girls. In just a moment, we will bring you a 5-minute, what I call a film short. It's called The Game Plan, and it tells a rich story. An important footnote you should know that the 5 individuals highlighted in this film short is that they want viewers to know that they stood with and on the shoulders of many great individuals, not specifically portrayed in this short documentary. Over the past several months, participants and organizers worked really, really hard to collect as much great history, images, reflections as they could from this time in over 50 years. So let's take a look back at this special time.
It was really having the right people in the right place at the right time to get things moving. Claire and Ken Hungerford represented Conard. They had 7 daughters and 1 son. And June and Lindy Remingino from Hall, they had 4 daughters and 1 son. And they both spoke to the boards. They really were the catalysts, the facilitators of the parent groups.
I knew that we had to fight to get the girls playing sports because a lot of them were so good that we fought with the Board of Education to start having athletics for not only our girls but everybody that wanted to join. So we voted for it, and it happened, and I was so happy.
And we wanted to do something. And I said, well, we're not going to just sit around do nothing. So we went to an assembly one night that they had, and we stood up and spoke.
We just wanted to provide the same opportunities and experiences for the girls as the boys had. They believed in us and we believed in them.
The girls were very good athletes, very good.
We'd play anything, just put it in front of us and we want to play.
We felt like we had the skills, the passion, and definitely the desire to have a league.
There was no doubt they wanted it. They were really the catalyst of we want and we need more. And we as a teacher said, and you deserve more.
I sent a petition around in school and I had 85 signatures and went to the board and provided them with my petition and then spoke of the passion and the desire, the skill level, and just that, you know, we've been competing not enough and we are just as good as the boys. Don't want to take anything away from the boys, but we need our own league. And there were student athletes in the crowd and our parents, and I said, look around you, look at the sport, the room is full, and obviously there's a need and a desire to have a league, a CCI league for the girls.
The discussion came from the board on January 5th that there would be a temporary transfer of funds within the existing budget of $1,200 to get a girls' sports team started for the spring of 1972.
Finally, they said, you know, I think we better start thinking about the women. We wanted to do it, we wanted to go. So that's what we did.
Well, naturally, we were hoping it would happen, and it did, and that's what counts. And that put big smiles on our face.
I presented a 3-season plan and answered the questions of the board. And when I was finished, one of the board members said, I have one question. What boys' sports do you suggest are cut in order to add a program for girls? And I got very quiet and they took a nice deep breath and I said, none. If it's good enough for the boys, it's good enough for the girls. They also had told Dale Harper, the athletic director, to start looking to see what it would cost to start a program for fall, winter, and spring the following year. And we began with our first 2 sports, tennis and track and field. We just were so excited. We had more student athletes than anybody ever expected, but we never turned anybody away. We bought very simple uniforms that we ended up sharing with each other. We got off to a great start in the spring of 1972. And then the following school year, we added field hockey in the fall, basketball and gymnastics in the winter, and then we had track and tennis in the spring. Then we continued to add to those sports every year.
You know, it was really exciting for us because we worked hard to get it.
It was the right time at the right place with the right people. We just had everybody was ready to go and work as a team. And I can't emphasize enough the teamwork, the collaboration, the give and take, and also the leadership of Madeline McKernan as the chairperson of the Board of Education. That was critical. She believed in us, she supported us, and if you knew Madeline, the feisty character and the strong will to do what's right for kids.
They all were involved, and the coaches were very good. It's the best thing that we could keep them busy. I wouldn't want them to come home and walk out of the house and find them doing something wrong.
Well, it was good that they all did. They had something to do.
I think while we were doing it, we had no idea that we were making history. And there was this continual message to believe in yourself and be the best that you can be, and the whole development of the whole person and giving them great foundational skills. I mean, they came to us with so much preparation, with so much belief in themselves, with so much motivation, with so much desire. You couldn't do anything but move forward with them.
Wow. Hearing these icons go back in time, I've watched this several times, and each time it gives me goosebumps. But tonight, I'm a little choked up. To be here on stage and to be in this space with legends of our time, it's very humbling. 15 years ago, as an administrator at Conard High School, I had the privilege to work with Betty Remingino-Knapp in her role as the district's athletic director. And I quickly came to learn about what a legend she was in her time as a Hall High School student and athlete of the class of 1973. She looks fantastic. She's as vibrant today as she was then. Over the years, I've heard remarkable stories about another woman, Marilyn Sesta. It was such an honor for me to meet her in the lobby tonight. She's also a distinguished scholar and athlete of the Conard High School class of 1973. I am so honored to reunite Ms. Remingino-Knapp and Ms. Sesta in person for the first time. They entered high school prior to the passage of Title IX, and they experienced only the initial changes due to this amendment. Tonight, I'm going to invite them to share their personal reflections, which will tee us up for another short video called The Tip-Off, focused on the early days of athletics from the viewpoint of the first coaches. Please join me to welcome Betty Remingino-Knapp and Marilyn Sesta.
Doesn't matter who goes first. When you're a legend, that means you're old. Yeah, my mother told me that. Well, I'd like to share my perspective as being a member of the first class of student athletes to benefit from Title IX. I then went on to coach at Conard and Hall. Then I went on to coach at the University of Connecticut, and then back here to West Hartford to be the athletic director. I'm now in my retirement, very happy to say I'm coaching here at Hall again, cross country and track and field, and a lot of my athletes are here tonight. It's really great to see all of them. We often, Sue Kernius and I, as we coach our young charges, we often talk about what it was like back in the day. We really didn't have the opportunities that girls have today. And presently we have 15 varsity sports for our female athletes. And I had the opportunity, absolutely, congratulations. I had the opportunity at the high school level as well as the collegiate level to watch just athletics explode. And I was there when they hired Gino and they started to put a lot of money into gender equity. So it was really very exciting. As a young girl growing up in the middle 1960s, I was introduced to competitive sports by my parents. You saw my mother earlier. And while my father was an Olympic athlete with 2 Olympic gold medals, my mother was also very athletic and taught me to swim at a very young age and to go out and play as many sports as we could to keep interested and active. It became a very normal part of our family life to be active. My athletic experience broadened during the late 60s when I explored other sports available through physical education and extended after-school programs in middle school, which really, back in the day, we had 3 junior high schools, Plant, Sedgwick, and Talcott, and we would compete just against one another throughout the town. I then went on to Hall High School, and in my junior year, when Title IX was enacted, further inspiration was provided by my basketball coach and track coach, Jane Rosenkrantz. I went to play on those teams and also played field hockey.
So really, the only sports offered back in those days was tennis. I think we eventually had softball. And oftentimes my athletes asked, because I do a lot of distance running, didn't you have cross country? Did you run cross country? I said, we didn't even have cross country back in that time. And in fact, we really were not allowed to run over 800 meters in our track meets, which today we're running 5,000 meters, 3,200 meters, the steeplechase. So it's changed quite a bit. My focus on track and field came certainly growing up around my father, who was an Olympic athlete and also a very renowned high school track and field coach. And as I come of age during the years of Title IX, it's become obvious to me why I became so interested, really more in coaching than competing. After retiring as athletic director in 2016, I returned to my first love of coaching cross country and track and field. I continue to enjoy enabling a new generation of females with opportunities to compete and train at a more level playing field. And believe me, the kids that we have take full advantage of it and train and race their hearts out every day. I can't wait to see what the next 50 years will bring for our females. Congratulations.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. When I came to Conard as a sophomore in 1970, there were no official girls' sports, but there was a strong intramural program that was a seasonal extension of what we were doing in our physical education classes. We just wanted to play and compete, so every opportunity that our physical education teachers gave us, we took. We all eagerly jumped at the chance to play. We loved every minute of our intramural programs and the opportunities like cheerleading, leaders club, pep club, and even officiating some of the boys' swim meets and track and field meets. When sports were officially adopted in the spring of my junior year in 1972 with track and tennis, we were all in. We carried over the enthusiasm from season to season as we embraced every opportunity that came along. We all had different personalities, different backgrounds. Our talents were at different levels, yet we worked hard together to succeed, helping each other to improve, pushing each other each day to be better than the one before, supporting and cheering each other through our practices and games. This was team spirit. After graduating in 1973, and while attending Central Connecticut State College as a freshman, I went back to Conard to be a JV coach in basketball and track and field. I wanted the female athletes to experience the growth, the friendships, the reliance on each other, and the competition that I had experienced and enjoyed. In track and field, we had at one point 103 young female athletes. We had some very talented athletes and some not as talented, and that was okay. But what they all had in common was they were an important part of a team. They all had unique talents. It didn't matter if they were first across the line or the last one, the one who threw the furthest, the one who jumped the highest or the furthest, or they fouled out. The team cheered them on. We wanted to teach each of our athletes more than just basketball skills or track and field skills. We wanted them to learn lifelong experiences, like I did as an athlete. Working toward a common goal, being humble, respectful, helping others, being a team player, and being confident in oneself. You see, winning isn't everything. It is what you learned along the way that's important. Winning is just the icing on the cake. I was very fortunate to have been one of many pioneers in paving the way for female athletics in West Hartford, but unfortunate that my time as a female athlete at Conard was short. After I left coaching and started my own team with my husband, sports was a big part of our children's lives. I am very proud of all our female athletes, past and present. We've come a long way. So reach for the stars. There's no holding you back. Thank you.
And she's still a riot.
The best way to describe the start of girls' sports at Hull High School would be as a roller coaster. Many girls were picking up an organized sport for the first time. Some came with a lot of experience and a deep desire to just get going and play. At other times, we had to recruit kids for sports in which they had never participated. Although it was a slow start for some girls in sports at Hull, once we got it, we got it. As far as the start of sports at Conard, the female student athletes hit the ground running. I think that if they could have played a game the night the board included girls' sports in the budget, they would have. We understood that everything wouldn't happen overnight, but our girls could finally play in an established interscholastic program. We kept the focus on what was most important, and that was providing the best experiences in sport for our girls. We felt great cooperation from our male coaching colleagues. There were struggles along the way, as would and should be expected, but those early years are all filled with happy memories. Together with Karen Roberts, Justine Clark, Sally Warren, and Marion Berlin, we laid the foundation. We planted the seeds in the garden together. We were there to welcome the new coaches who came shortly after us to join the coaching ranks and to pass the torch to the ones who would carry on the work.
I started at Conard, believe it or not, as a very excited student teacher in the fall of 1972. And let me tell you, I wasn't there a day when I went back to Springfield College and told them that I was student teaching in heaven.
I started off as the first Conard swim coach, and then also that same year in 1973, the first Hall gymnastics coach. I think it was developing a whole culture to know that we were just as important as the boys were, and where the boys had to go to practice every single day and they were seeking scholarships and notoriety, so too were the girls.
They really did want to be there, and they were terribly upset if they couldn't be there, and that they were so proud and happy to have the opportunity that it was never to be missed. We had to sort of work our way through when a basketball game was going on that the wrestling team wasn't practicing down at that end, like yelling and whistles, and it definitely took a while. But that's okay. And you know, I would say that, to be honest with you, in the beginning, that did not bother our players one bit.
The first years for the swim team were extremely challenging for many reasons. West Hartford's Cornerstone Pool was the worst pool in the state. No one wanted to swim there, but it was all we had. With no energy-absorbing lane lines, I was always surprised that the poor swimmers in lanes 1 and 6 didn't drown. Because of the town shut Cornerstone down for the entire month of September, the swim team swam outside at Eisenhower Pool. Thankfully, nothing was going to stop these athletes. I told them it was a polar bear plunge 4 months early. Practice time for most swim teams was 2 hours a day because they had their own pools. Hall and Conard each got only 55 minutes a day. It didn't matter. We still won league titles due to the girls' determination.
I had a couple kids who were free 8th period, our last period of the day. And then Justine Clark, who taught at Conard, she showed me where this old chalk liner was, and the girls went out and we like had strings, and honestly we can see the bus with the other team like dropping their kids off and like, oh, Miss Beanie, you know, good days. But those are the things that took a little bit longer, I'd say, for us over at Conard.
Probably the biggest obstacle was dealing with the Godo Boys network. Some, not all, of the male coaches did not like sharing facilities or practice time.
It did take a while to really begin to bring us into getting all the girls' varsity sports on campus, getting them all on proper, safe, regulation fields, having all of those same things provided for.
Then something amazing happened. The town hired Susie D'Onofrio to be the first female athletic director in West Hartford's history. If anyone could fight for and win equality, that would be Susie.
As the program grew, so too did the budget for uniforms, warm-ups, and equipment. Equally as significant was the growth and eventual equity in the use of the facilities, the time for games from after school to the evening basketball games, and full immersion into our then league, the CCIL. Over time, salaries for coaches and their assistants became equitable as well.
Sports, if they're done right, are so fundamental to the development of adolescents. If you have the right leaders, male or female, then you're going to be blessing them with the best lessons. It's the life lessons, it's the experience, it's the process that makes a difference in all their lives.
I think that being supportive of each other, taking pride in everything that you did, knowing that you were representing not just yourself and not even just your teammates, but your school and your community.
It created a mission for me, so here I am 49 years later, and it's almost hard to leave because it's been a mission. It's been a big part of me of how important women's sports, girls' sports in high school is to enable them to be the best version of themselves, like not just in sports, but just in their whole being.
How can you leave it a little better than you found it? You know, what will you be leaving here that when the next kids come, I wanted them to embrace that responsibility for what they could do for the future, just as people had done for them in the past. You know, that this was not a one and done, but rather like a story of the way it would be.
I love it. Determination and humor, right? So I want to take attendance. I'm sorry, I meant to do this at the very beginning. I want to know who's in the room. How many of you are athletes of this time? That's right. And just call it out. What sports did you excel at? Oh, that's fantastic. And, you know, they didn't just say it, they proved it. What's good enough for boys is good enough for girls, right? Thank you to our early coaches. We tip our hearts to you and countless other coaches and players throughout the 50 years not featured in this program, but certainly not forgotten. You represented their legacy so profoundly. So our West Hartford Public Schools athletic program for girls is the result of work of literally hundreds of coaches and thousands of players and parents. We have this wonderful opportunity tonight to hear from a few of our West Hartford residents and alumni, former student athletes. They will take the stage to share the impact Title IX has had on their lives. Now, as they make their way to the stage, I will read a brief bio of each. May I please ask the following all-stars to come to the stage. Dr. Linda Berry is a 1975 Conard High School athlete who went on to earn her doctorate in education and lead school districts around the state of Connecticut. Kathy Foto is a 1979 graduate of Conard High School who played field hockey, basketball, and track. Kathy went on to play field hockey at Ithaca College and spent her career as a collegiate coach. Come on up. Marcia McCurdy Adele is a Conard High School graduate of the class of 1993. She is the first woman of color to graduate from the Connecticut Fire Academy. She currently serves as a deputy fire marshal for our town, our special town of West Hartford. Randy Zola is a 1977 graduate of Hall High School. Welcome back home, Randy. She went on to play basketball at Springfield College and then professionally in Argentina. Oh, I'm so envious of our students and our moderator for tonight get to engage in a robust discussion with these fine role models. Marie Bernard Mazuski. 1975. She served as the CEO of YMCAs throughout Massachusetts and currently oversees YMCA of Western Connecticut.
How to turn these on?
Turn the handle.
I guess the person who's on can speak
Got
the
it.
longest.
Hello? So good evening and welcome. First I need to do a couple of thank yous. I'm going to go off script, but don't panic. I'll keep us to our 15 minutes. So we all need to give Susie Alcott D'Onofrio a big round of applause because she killed tunics. Thank you. So we're going to have a little speed dating session here, okay? We have 15 minutes. We have to be prompt. And one of those things that we learned in athletics was, we do what we're told to do, right? So we're going to go to Cliff Note versions of our life for 50 years, okay? Oh, wait, not everybody understands Cliff Notes, do they? That's the shortened version of your life, okay? Linda.
Well, I'd like to first start
Wait,
by...
I didn't ask the question.
I don't need you to ask the question.
I know. I'm going to do a quick round. What did you play? What sports?
I was a three-sport athlete at Conard. I played swimming, basketball, and track, and graduated in '76.
Kathy, same question.
Field hockey, basketball, track and field.
Cross country, basketball, and track and field, class of '93.
Hey, Randy.
Basketball, track, and softball, swimming.
Wow. I didn't know you could swim.
I didn't really swim.
Didn't really. So what was your favorite? Quick. Come on, quick. Speed round.
Loved every sport.
Field hockey. Go. Any field hockey players?
How to choose? I know it wasn't cross country. I love you, Coach Walkwitz, but it wasn't cross country.
Basketball.
Okay. Okay, now, Linda, from your athletic career, what lessons have you taken from being an athlete to your current profession?
I first want to take the opportunity to thank, I was so fortunate to work on the committee and have four of my former coaches, Coach D'Onofrio, Coach McAuliffe, Coach Moffo, and Coach Zesta, that were on the committee. And it just reinforced one of the lessons that I learned, and that's really just the power of one, how much one person can make a difference. These people changed my life. There's no question about it. My twin sister was able, Susie D'Onofrio got her a 4-year scholarship to run at Michigan State. That wasn't happening in 1976. But Susie went out of her way to do that, and every coach did that for me. So the power of one, that one person can make a difference, is really, really critical. And when I thought about my career, I wanted to do the same thing for someone else. I wanted to be in education, in particular be an educational leader, so that I'd have a chance to influence other students and be that special someone that everybody needs, whether it's holding the door for a student, whether it's saying good morning, being that special person. Because these four coaches just changed my life incredibly, and I would not be sitting here today had I not had that opportunity.
Kathy, what was the most important leadership lesson that you've learned through athletics?
I think there are two things, being a positive role model and the value of good communication. The women and also the men, the coaches that I had, teachers and coaches, were such positive role models and got us to reach a higher level than we knew we could get to because they believed in us, and the way they taught us and the way they coached us was so positive. And the way they communicated to us to push yourself, to persevere, to dig deeper, those things were so important. And the humor of how you reach your goals on the days that it's hardest. This knee right here, Betty Remigino, there's scars that will never be replaced. The value of pushing yourself and going forward, and just just always being positive and being someone that kids could lean on and talk to.
She didn't make you go over a hurdle, did she?
I still have that hurdle that she made me take home with me,
That's
but
awesome.
in fairness, I was always made to take a shot put, a javelin. Marilyn, Sesta, and Susie take these things home and learn how to do these things. My neighbor's like, what is wrong with you? So yeah, thanks for all that positive reinforcement.
Marcia, who influenced you to do what you're doing today?
Oh gosh, I am very fortunate to have had some awesome coaches. Coach Walkwitz from Conard, cross country, Carol Ciato and Fran Lynch from track and field. Mimi Parks is out there right now. Mimi Parks, she was our basketball coach along with Judy Givens. And all of them played a huge role in me being able to set strong goals that are attainable but really were challenging. And that really formed who I am today as an individual, as someone who's contributing to this community. And there's no way, without goal setting by these coaches, Coach Ciato taught me, she said to me, well, how do you know you can't run that fast? You haven't gone faster. She would tell me, you don't know your limit until you've gone beyond it. And so, it was just a wonderful experience altogether when you have these coaches that are telling you you can do anything you put your mind to. And that goal setting is not only important in my career, but it's important in my home life. It's important, team building, relationship, all of that is just amazing. And it's certainly made a difference in who I am as the deputy fire marshal in town. So,
congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Randy, you took your playing career to a different level than some of us. I didn't get out, I was done after high school, so I'm hugely impressed that you were a professional athlete. So tell us a little bit about that and how'd you get there?
Well, I started in the playground in my backyard, playing with all my friends, and that's where we started. And we moved on to Hall High School. We had a phenomenal career. As you know, I played with you. Mm-hmm. And then I was fortunate enough to play at Springfield College, Division II, and we went to the AIW National Championship and won. And then we went to Nationals. And after that, I was recruited to play in Venezuela, and I got to go over there and play, and it was phenomenal playing. There was only 3 Americans per team, so 2 were only allowed to play at a time. We were paid $200 a week, and we got room and board. But it was an unbelievable experience, international experience to meet people and travel. And hopefully that was a foundation for professional teams here. So,
cool. So while we've been at this for 50 years playing sports, I think it's become obvious that while we've come a long way, baby, there's still a long way to go, right? As female athletes in this male-dominated world. And so given that, knowing what we all know, what piece of advice would you have to all those current high school and middle school athletes out there as you look back and say, wow, look at what we did, besides get rid of tunics? Nobody even remembers tunics, do they?
There's a reason for that. Nobody wants to remember tunics.
No. Yes, you do. That gym uniform that we had to wear, that it was the first uniforms we had.
They were blue.
So I'm a little older than you are, I guess.
They snapped.
Sorry, they snapped.
They
Sorry.
snapped.
So what piece of advice would you give for the next 50 years to the up-and-coming athletes?
I just have to tell a very short story.
Microphone.
To tell a very short story to get to my point. And my point I would tell people is
This has now become the Linda Berry Show.
I'll be outside signing autographs and also be at
Rockledge.
I'll be at
for
Rockledge
the after party.
as soon as we get there at 8:45 if you want.
Kathy will collect the
All right,
fee
let's
at
go,
the door.
let's go. Come on.
I guess mine would be meet people where they are and respect them. And I am certainly more than willing to be honest and say that on 2 of the teams, I was probably one of the best athletes. I was by far, 1973, nobody would doubt I was the worst basketball player ever. I had asthma. I had never taken a gym class in my life. I'd never played a team sport. I stood outside in my driveway and shot baskets. So the swimming stayed open. It had already happened, and it was time for basketball tryouts. They had already been picked. But Coach Moffel said, you can have 2 days of a tryout. The first day, I was in a layup drill. The old Conard gym had a balcony, and I didn't know where to put the ball, so I put it up on the balcony. we didn't have a lot of balls back then.
Cliff
so,
notes, cliff notes.
It isn't like now where you have like a zillion balls. At that time, it stopped. I mean, because I put it up there, we didn't have a ball to play with. So,
and your piece of advice is to what?
Everybody started laughing, and what I would just want to say is that, you know, as kind of the worst person, and I really was the worst person on that team, and I went far, and I played in Indiana after, but I can say that I was respected. You really need to meet people where they are, but I was respected. I wasn't cast off because I was not very good, and I think, you know, in leadership, you have to take people where they are, respect them, and help them grow.
Great advice.
So Linda, you accomplished your mission tonight. There was laughter out there, okay?
I was told I'd get $100 if I made people laugh.
Kathy, same question.
Yeah, I would say that your best days are ahead of you for the young women in the room, and thinking about the two young women who spoke so well earlier, that just keep challenging yourself. And you know, when I went to school, I'm so honored to sit next to the assistant fire chief, associate assistant.
Oh gosh, it's a deputy fire marshal.
Deputy.
Deputy.
There are no women. There are no women doing anything related to fire except making one in Girl Scouts. So you know, you just keep thinking of what is your dream, what is your challenge, and go for it, because it's right there in front of you.
I'm so happy to see that the fire is fake over there. It was so close to the curtain. I'm here like, oh my gosh, should I say something? It looks really close. So I'm happy to see that. Thank you. It's a great prop.
Yeah, that would be
advice
awkward,
is don't
huh?
make fires? No fires.
Super
if you're gonna
awkward.
have a fire, make sure it's fake.
I love the symbolism. I think it means the world to all of us in the room. That performance and that show, I think is just amazing. And I want to thank all of you who put that together. That was a really wonderful component of this program tonight.
Is there time?
But you didn't ask me a question.
Is there any time left?
I was going to say you have the same question.
Do you have anything else, Linda?
Yeah, you know what? I think I love that I have an amazing village of people. If anybody's friends with me, they will tell you, I talk about my village. You know, it takes a village. I've got twin girls that are 7. Look out for them. They're going to be amazing. But I tell people all the time how much I appreciate my village. Ladies out there, surround yourself with people who are going to support you. It doesn't mean that they're going to always yes you and you are right you. What they're going to do is they're going to be honest with you. And when they see your excitement over and your enthusiasm over your next goal, you want that. You want that. Take a look at your BFF right now and say, I want you to be like this later. And no matter where you are in life, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are going to say, you can do this, and you're going to do this, and you will do it.
Do you remember the question, Randy?
I think I do. Linda? No. I think the most important thing I learned was being unselfish. No matter how great a star you are, you cannot win without your teammates. And coaching, and you have to have good camaraderie, and just be unselfish. That's all I can tell you. Be unselfish and work together as a team, and you'll go really far. But you got to work hard, and you got to have passion, and you have to really, really practice. I don't care how good you are, it's going to eventually not work out unless you really practice and have passion. And have fun.
Thank you. Amen to fun. I think.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time.
We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Go this way.
Go this way, okay. Uh-oh. So Randy, who is the biggest influence in your life? Not athletically associated.
But it could be.
It could be.
Okay. So one of my favorite people in my whole life as playing as an athlete was Jane Rosencrantz. She coached me 3 years in high school, 3 years in college, and taught me the greatest foundation, teamwork, ethics, taught me life skills. As you guys who know her, phenomenal woman. She's in California, but she was one of my biggest mentors.
I would have to agree with that. So I had the good fortune of working for Jane Rosencrantz when I was at Springfield, and she was at Springfield. So we have a little Springfield thing going here. Same question, Marcia.
Carol Ciato. And I don't know if any of you know who she is, but I'll tell you, she was just amazing on and off the track. I remember she was pregnant, and she was like 9 months pregnant, and she's like jumping up and down, cheering us on the sidelines. And I was telling this to a young lady before. When I didn't listen to my parents, when I didn't listen to my teachers, I listened to my coach. And to this day, we're still connected, and I feel incredibly fortunate to have had her as an influence in my life as a freshman in high school.
Yeah, there's so many people that I could think of, every coach I've ever had, but I remember my junior high, or my elementary phys ed teacher, Carol McAleese, who said to me, it's okay to be a female and want to be athletic. It's okay to beat the boys every day at recess, and don't take no for an answer. And she really started me off with my love of sports, and I think set me on my path to be a career in sports. And just very grateful that when you have a passion at that young age, when being an athlete, being athletic, being an aggressive, confident woman was not something that was always rewarded. I think she rewarded that in me and set me on my trajectory. So, Carol McAleese.
If there's not enough time, I can give up my time.
Okay, she's giving up her time. So I think in closing,
I got something to say. That was just a joke. I didn't really want to give up my time.
Now we're going to be over our limit. Do you have 20 seconds?
Yes, I do. I'd say that PM Maffa was the biggest influence on my life.
Hey, Mrs. Maffo.
She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. She helped and pushed me. She helped me learn that I can achieve any goal, from being the worst basketball player there was onto doing great things.
You nailed it.
Can I just add that someone who's not here, who had a big influence on all of us, Kathy Walling, who was a mentor of many Hall athletes, was a significant contributor and did a lot. And she's not represented here because she's no longer with us, but her influence and her spirit lives in many of us.
Right. So, just in closing, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't go back to the town of West Hartford, right? I don't know how many of you realize just what a great place this is to live, to grow up, and how fortunate we were, especially in the early days, of the programs that we had, the facilities we had, the opportunities that we had, that not every town around us, as we traveled around, Enfield and East Hartford and Windham and Avon, not everybody was the same. So West Hartford did take it seriously once they got a kick in the butt from Coach D'Onofrio over there. And it made a difference. Even the Parks Department, look at the facilities that are around towns, the amount of pools that are in town. I think they're still here. Are they still here?
We still have pools. There are pools in West Hartford.
A lot of pools,
yes.
yeah. I used to say there's pools like
They're
elementary schools, but not every town has those opportunities. So take advantage of them and appreciate them. And with that, I think this panel is done.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. This is my fight song. I'm sorry. No. No, thank God for girls' sports because I've never had any vocal talent. That was a great song selection as a tribute to our first panel. I don't even know how to stick to the script after that fire panel. Beautiful vocals. Beautiful segue to our second panel, making up for time. Those of you who are millennials will go home in Google tunics tonight. So our second panel will focus on breaking the ceiling in athletics and other areas where women were underrepresented and or less acknowledged for their brilliance and talent. The 37 words of Title IX never mention the word sports or the word athletics. It is a law for greater equality. Our second panel will address current challenges and inspire hope for us. As they make their way to the stage, I will read a brief bio of each. Panel 2 is Beyond Sports. Adrienne Billing-Smith, West Hartford Town Council member, parent, Division I college athlete, community activist, and open member of the LGBTQ+ community. Come on up. Carson Bond, Conard alumni, class of 1976, and U.S. Air Force pilot. Thank you, soldier, for your service. You're actually sitting next to a flight attendant, too. She was also an American Airlines flight pilot. United, no. Carson. Adrienne's United. We love all aircraft carriers equally. Okay, so Terry McGinnis Holland, Hall High School alumni and campus architect of the University of Maryland in Baltimore. Terry, what year did you graduate? What year? 77. And finally, Tatiana Datil, Conard High School, AP research student, class of 2023. To moderate another lively panel discussion with these fine role models are two Hall High School Advanced Placement Research students, Kate Sanderson and Hannah Rogendorf.
Is this on? Yeah. Hi, we want to welcome our panelists who are here tonight. We're so happy to have you, and thank you for your contributions to the West Hartford community. I'm going to hand it off to Kate for the first question.
Thank you, Hannah. Ms. Billing-Smith, you recently led the efforts to rename Goodman Green and West Hartford Center to Unity Green. How did your efforts with sports in Title IX help you see the effort or efforts like this to completion?
I think me and Linda got this seat for the same reason, because I don't know how to do time. So honestly, the Goodman Green, now Unity Green, came from being an athlete. When I was a freshman in college, I was the only open gay person on my team at that time. And there was a little controversy around that. And I didn't feel like I had a voice. So I had my teammates, my community, which you'll always hear me talk about, how Marcia talked about her village, who stood up for me. So when that happened to me, as I grew older and went through my life, I recognized I would never be voiceless again, and neither would others in my community who were affected by situations.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Carson Bond, how did your experience with sports early in life help you as an Air Force pilot?
Well, first of all, I need to say that I'm pretty uncomfortable with public speaking, so I'm going to start with what I know best. Greetings from the cockpit, folks. This is Captain Bond. I'd like to welcome you on board Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the seatbelt sign has been turned off. I'm going to go a little long, but I'm the captain, so I can. 50 years ago, I was a pretty insecure kid, but Title IX offered the opportunity to play sports in West Hartford, and I wondered, can I do that? Turns out I wasn't very good, but I had three coaches that supported and encouraged me, so I started feeling more confident and empowered. At UConn, freshmen were offered the opportunity to rappel down a 10-story building if they joined ROTC, and I thought, I might be able to do that. Joining the military seemed like a natural progression from sports because it's structured so much like a team. A couple years later, I found out that for the first time, the Air Force was allocating 13 slots to women cadets in the whole country. I applied because I believed I could do that. Playing sports in West Hartford helped me manage the challenges I faced in pilot training, such as my first solo flight, flying formation, and later on in my career, air refueling and flight. It continued to help during my 32-year career at American Airlines. It's funny that being a captain of Conard's basketball team has similarities to managing a crew of a 737. I don't think I could have been an Air Force pilot had it not been for school sports. So I'm grateful for Title IX and my coaches, Susie Donalfo, Fran Lynch, and Pam Moffo, who enabled me to tackle new challenges and have the confidence to know that I can do that.
Thank you. I really love that message. Terry McGinnis Holland, in your preparation for your career, what barriers did you face?
Oh, great. Hi. Well, in terms of barriers, we can also call it challenges. And I'm sure that everyone in this room was told when they were a kid, you can be anything you want to be, you can do anything you want to do. But what did that look like? So it didn't look like us. So reflecting on this event tonight, I thought, what was the immediate change that Title IX made? And I really think it was the fact that besides we all got these immediate teams that I walked in freshman year and they were all the teams there. I expected it, I guess. But we got to wear uniforms. We got to wear our little jackets our warm-up jackets to school during the day. We were there, we were the same as the boys. It was right there in your face. So moving on to Carnegie Mellon is where I studied architecture. And I'm sure that my gymnastics resume and cheerleading and jazz dancing and all those things helped me become an architect. But I didn't take any art classes, which I really should have. But it was a well-rounded resume, and it was a well-rounded, diverse group they were looking for. So I'm sure that helped me in so many ways. I did take drafting class in high school, and I was the second girl to sign up for drafting class. I met Pam Hebert freshman year on track. I think, Randy, you were doing track that year. And she had signed up. She was actually an artistic girl, and she was on the track team, and she took drafting. And she was really somebody to idolize in just so many ways. And I signed up the next year, and then there were 2 girls in the class. So we did drafting 3 years in a row. We got to make a model. It was just so different and so fun. I just kept going with it. So entering Carnegie Mellon, it was, let's just say it was a bit of a shock. There were 0 female instructors, 0 female professors. It wasn't until my 3rd year that there was 1 professor in architectural history, and she was the first person who just gave me the nod. Like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, keep talking, or that's not a bad idea. I mean, somebody was talking to me and somebody was listening to me. It was groundbreaking for me. So that's it. That's all I have to say. How's the time? Sorry about that.
Thank you. That was so nice to hear about. So Tatiana, you did your AP Research question in part focused on Title IX. So can you tell us what you researched and what you found?
Hello. I researched black girls in high school sports, and what basically drew me to this research was that when growing up, my parents basically told me, like, choose a sport, I don't care what it is, but you're gonna play a sport. And the minute I picked up a softball and a softball glove and a bat, I just fell in love. I love sports. Ever since that day I started softball, I just fell in love with it. It's just a way that I can deal with stress from school and like at home. It's just, I love sports in general. I play track as well. It's just such a great thing in general. We have so many positives to playing sports. So coming to Conard High School, I noticed my freshman year that there wasn't many black female athletes. I was only one of 2 of the indoor track on the girls team. So first of all, for my AP research project, I sent out a questionnaire to the whole school actually, and that actually got 239 respondents, and only 23 of these respondents were black female. Based off of this research, I found that black girls who participated in sports had a higher GPA and were less likely to get a discipline referral, and were more likely to try a new sport that they never tried before. They were also more comfortable in group settings, such as classrooms and like just different sports that they've never played before. They also felt more included in sports, in different sports. They felt like they were part of the team. So with that, I feel like so that just kind of like drew me to this research, because I felt like more has to be done in our community to accommodate to these black girls and like get more black girls to play sports and just shine, like put a mirror to our community and make us do more. And like, how can we accommodate these black girls who aren't in sports? What is making these black girls say, I'm not really interested in sports in general, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous because I love sports. So that's why I wanted to research this topic.
Thank you. So going off of that, and you kind of just touched on it, but what would you like to see done in West Hartford based on your research?
So based on my research, like I said, I want to shine a mirror to our community to accommodate these black girls who aren't as interested in sports as any other group or race of girls. Tom Moore said that in our community we feel like we're not getting better and we're not doing as much as we could. I kind of disagree. I feel like in this community we feel like we're doing enough. We came a long way. We know this is a milestone, the Title IX, we came a long way, but I feel like there's so much, yes, we've done a lot and this is a milestone, but I feel like there's so much more that needs to be done, and I feel like my AP research topic, I hope that just raising these questions, what can we do more, what can we do to accommodate these black girls, can just shine a light to our community, but also in the black community, like what am I doing to kind of break the barrier in sports? What can I do to like tell other black girls and recruit other black girls to play different sports? And I think that getting more black girls to play sports would just benefit us as a whole. Like we all, I think we all can say that we've all benefited from sports, mentally, physically, it builds character. So I feel like having more people of color in general in sports would just benefit us and benefit our future. I think a saying that we're all really like familiar with is, which some people might think it's kind of negative, when we're given an inch, we take a mile, but I think when people of color are given an inch, they'll take a mile. We need that mile. We need that mile in our community. We need that mile in society in general. And I think that just realizing that barriers that we have to overcome to be a part of sports is a start. It's a start to give us that inch so we can take a mile.
Thank you, Tatiana. Ms. McGinnis-Holland, why is it important to have women contributing in the spaces we live?
Can you say that again?
Why is it important to have women contributing in the spaces we live?
Very good, thank you. Well, first of all, women promote peace and collaboration. I don't have to say much more than that. Women tend to be more pragmatic and work hard to understand the intentions of the place that's being designed and respond to those intentions. It's not the ego, being an architect is not what the vision was 50 years ago of the tall white man, stoic, quiet, egotistical. It's a lot of collaboration to get it right, and there's so many things that can go wrong. And that's been a real help in the profession. In terms of urban design, the aspirations and the project goals of an entire community are at risk. When you think about, I have a good example here, when you think back in the 60s and 70s, Constitution Plaza is a perfect example of what was being designed back then. Separation. It was all about separation back then. And this happened all over the country. I live in Baltimore, and we had bridges all around the city to separate you from the undesirable community and the undesirable problems of the city, and you came down and you went into your office building and you got back in your car and you went home. 50 years now, the whole country is trying to build and design little communities that look just like West Hartford. Just like West Hartford Center. I've seen, I've researched, I've looked at many of these mixed-use retail communities. Nothing is as good as West Hartford Center. And one of the reasons for that is that every store, this is so unusual in design, every store has a front door and a back door. So you can park behind the buildings. And that takes a lot of trust that no one's going to steal your stuff because you'd have two doors to be monitoring. And I've just never seen I've never seen anybody do it with the front doors and the back doors, and it's just changes the whole way you walk and you interact, and you're an inclusive society.
Thank you so much. That's so interesting to think about. Carson Bond, what assets do women bring to the cockpit?
In my experience flying the last 40 years, I found that women tend to problem solve differently than men. They are more open to input and more communicative in the decision-making process. I believe when there's diversity in the cockpit, it can only increase the safety margin when there are problems to solve.
And our final question for Adrian, why is it so important to have vibrant women as community activists and leaders?
Oh, I'll keep it short because women get it done.
Let's give one more round of applause to our inspiring women here tonight. Thank you.
Every time you come up, I think you're coming up to speak. We do have another speaker, right? Okay. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, panel number 2. Thank you for your wisdom, your inspiration. It made me think of something. In front of every great man is an amazing woman, right? Thank you for being our village. So, our next person that I'm bringing up, full disclosure, my notes got cut off, and this is not intentional inequity. Our next person I'm bringing up is our athletic director, Jason Siegel. Although he lost our arm wrestling match, he won the coin toss, and he gets to introduce our keynote speaker. Jason, will you do the honor?
Thank you, Rosina. Good evening, everyone. I stand before you this evening honored to introduce our next guest, Dr. Carissa Niehoff. Dr. Niehoff continues to be a trailblazer in advocating for equality for students and student athletes across the nation. As a native to Connecticut, and as she continues to carve this path at the highest levels, I am proud to carry on her legacy and the legacy of our former West Hartford Public School athletic directors as I continue the great work with our current stakeholders in ensuring that our female student athletes have an amazing experience during their 4 years in high school. We are not done, as we heard, with our own work just yet, but it is because Dr. Niehoff's work that she does leading our nation's educational-based athletic programs that I'm confident we will continue to accomplish great things for our students here in West Hartford. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to welcome to the stage the CEO of the National Federation of High Schools, Dr. Carissa Niehoff.
Well, it's very hard to come up and offer anything that's as inspirational as the panel presentations, and probably more importantly, the young people that sang. It's absolutely wonderful to be home again. There is a song in Indiana, Back Home Again in Indiana. I'm not going to sing it because I can't. But as I was flying in to Connecticut to visit you all, and I fly a lot, and I hope I'm on the flights. There's a lot of faith there. I'd love to know that she's our pilot. But I have the absolute privilege of representing the nation and the scholastic-based activities and athletics. We're not just athletics, high school sports, but we are performing arts. So we are speech, debate, music, and theater. And I have the privilege of working with professional organizations, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, the Olympic, USOC Paralympic Committee, national governing bodies, and of course, scholastic youth sport organizations. And so I get to travel a lot. And I was flying into Connecticut, and they fly us at 34 to 37,000 feet, I believe. And we're coming in, I'm looking down. And without question, when you fly into Connecticut and you look down, it's beautiful. And I thought, you know, there's something to be said for taking some time to sit still and think at 30,000 feet about what you do and why you do it and where you're going. And then to land and put your feet on the ground and think about where you're standing and where your next step will be. Coming back home to Connecticut and coming in and listening to the presentation tonight and sitting next to my mentor and best friend in life, Dr. Susie Donalfo. I'm not standing on carpet or on the ground, I'm standing on shoulders. And I'm humbled to be home in this role, to wear this shield and wear these pins and to be a voice for what happened in this auditorium tonight. So thank you for having me back. I want to thank you, Mayor Cantor, Tom, of course, Ann McKernan, wherever you are running around, a good friend, colleague for many years when we were at Newington High School together. My goodness, that was a long time ago, Susie, 99, I think that was. But just thank you for having me here. Thank you to Joe Zone, who I met with earlier. I know he's here. Channel 3, WFSB, they've done an amazing job over the years featuring the great achievements of our high school kids. And I know CIAC folks are here tonight, family and friends. So thank you to the collective group of people that organized this event and brought the right people together to talk about the right memories and the right things. And of course, Susie Donalfo. Whether you knew her as Susie Olcott or coach, principal, I knew her as all of those things and friend. She hired me as a teacher, and actually at the interview, and I'm sorry, Ann, I'm going to go over 8 minutes here. I just have to, because But we interviewed at Litchfield High School, and it was hot. It was the summer, and I had my nylons on, which as an athlete is different. So I met with Susie and the superintendent, Dr. Bob Lindgren, and I left and went downstairs and got in my car, and I took off the heels and the nylons, and she stuck her head out the window. She said, can you come back up here? And I thought, I looked in the car, yep, I'm coming up just as I am. So, but I had always wanted to work for Susie and had the privilege of being able to do that. And I have done nothing but learn from her. And there's not a day that goes by that I think of Susie. And everything in my office in Indianapolis has your fingerprints on it. You have your fingerprints on my heart and my head and my intention. And I'm so grateful for you. So wanted to just touch really briefly, the flyer for tonight's event featured the 37 most powerful words in the Title IX legislation of 1972, June 23rd, 1972. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Read that over and over. It was powerful. I think what's important to remember is that Title IX quickly sort of got interpreted to be a sports law, and it really wasn't. It was a civil rights law, and it continues to be a civil rights law about access to opportunity, not just for women, but for men and women, for staff and students, for everyone who's affiliated with a program that's recognizable by our federal government as deserving support. So obviously, we're here tonight to focus on the amazing history of women's sports and all of the pioneers in the room, and the future pioneers, who I know we're gonna see again in a moment. But one of the things that's important about Title IX is that not only does it extend to opportunity access, but now, as of May 2020, it's talking about how we respond to behavior that's discriminatory. And that is a big stretch. It's a significant stretch. And now Title IX is accountability driven more than ever before. And we know with legislation comes accountability. And with accountability, oftentimes comes challenge. And if we handle challenge well, it will lead to meaningful change. You in West Hartford, you were out in front of what eventually was legislated. You took challenge on. You did it meaningfully. You did it collaboratively, and you demonstrated change. Connecticut has been a pioneer in so many things. It's the Constitution state. You can arguably be called the Title IX state because you did it in West Hartford. Kudos to you. I wanted to share a few statistics that demonstrate the meaningful change that you helped to pioneer. So as we know, Title IX, as I mentioned, it's not just sport. It was about access to educational opportunities, professional opportunities, and of course, athletic opportunities. I'm going to give you a few numbers to just give you a sense of the change that you have helped to impact. In 1971, 1972, in high school sports, we had about 3.6 million boys who were participating. Only about 300,000 girls. Now, in our last survey at the NFHS, pre-COVID, we have now 4.5 million boys, 3.5 million girls. And if you consider that the sport of football is over 1 million, primarily boys alone, it tells you that now boys and girls participation in high school sports is even. And that is huge. And look out, folks, because girls flag football and girls wrestling are the two fastest growing sports in the high school landscape. So stay tuned. Men in college sports, 1971-72, it was about 170,000. Women were about 30,000. And by the way, those of you that can remember the AIAW, that sunsetted in 1982 because originally the NCAA had a different interpretation of Title IX. And they started to try to challenge who controlled women's sports. So when they in fact infused a total of $3 million to start women's championships at the NCAA, the AIAW unfortunately had to close its doors. But that was 1982. Many of us remember that. So really, Title IX, from an NCAA perspective, is fairly new. I often meet with the NCAA. Our buildings are connected by a hallway. I'm over there all the time. And I can tell you that they are absolute champions for trying to bring equality into the women's sport ecosystem. We saw with the March Madness, the basketball tournaments, for the first time, the women's tournament was able to use March Madness as its signature. It never was able to until this year. So a number of things happened and will continue to happen. And not only does it happen at the higher level, and I can assure you that national governing bodies, the USOPC, the NCAA, they are absolutely championing equality from a Title IX perspective. We need now to hold hands with grassroots. And only by connecting with grassroots movements and energy like that here in West Hartford will we make it happen. So that a young person's first initiative, experience in a sport or other activities has a pathway through to continuance and being a lifetime participant. To go back to the statistics, 1971-72, bachelor's degrees awarded to men was about 500,000, women about 386,000. In 2018-19, men, it was about 860,000 bachelor's degrees. Women, it was 1.15 million bachelor's degrees awarded to women. Men entering medical school in 1971-72 was about 10,500. Women, it was about 1,600. 2018-19, men entering medical school was about 10,400. Women was 11,461. And finally, matriculation into law schools, 1971-72, men was about 86,000, women was 8,900. 2018-19, men matriculating into law school, 52,400, women, 62,000 entering law school. So absolutely, we've seen the impact of Title IX. And now what I would like to do is ask our young women that sang to us to come down. If any of you are still here, and I'd love for you to stand again on the risers. As they're coming down and taking their places, I want you to look at them. Look at their faces. Look at their uniforms. Look at the swimming goggles. Okay? She told me that she was hoping to wear the swimsuit, but, you know, that's okay. So we know that there have been tremendous victories with Title IX. And as I learned from Susie decades ago, victories are both public and private. The public victories are those we see in the media, in the stats and stories, the victories we talk about with one another and we celebrate, as we should. But the private victories are those that are named when we look in the mirror by ourselves. When every one of these young women wakes up in the morning or goes to bed at night, and she looks in the mirror, and she thinks about something that was a challenge that she overcame, and she can say, I did that, And maybe the reasons as to why aren't as clear now, but they will be later, as you all shared tonight, when you look back to decades ago with who and how your private victories were realized. And now you're sharing them in a public forum as public victories. We have a long way to go. And I want us, as I say these words, to look at these young women and in your own private thoughts, make a promise to them. And before you leave tonight, approach them and promise them that you will do your best to pass them the torch, which is the charge of tonight's event. We need to create more opportunities for women to engage in sport as coaches, as officials, as administrators, and as CEOs. I'm one of the first women CEOs to run a national sport organization. There is still no line at the ladies' room. I get right in and out. And it's a kind of, I laugh with my colleagues. But I can tell you, you never lose the feeling that when you walk in a room, you're the only woman in the room. And you feel like there's a little bit more to prove, and there's a little bit more to say, and your word choice has to be more spot on. And then when you speak, and they say, okay, we have a little bit more to do to arrive still. But when we arrive, it's the landscape is ready. It's ready, and it's time for more. We need to develop a robust pipeline of women to fill these roles. We don't have a pipeline that's robust. We need to give these young women the next step. They have it in high school, but what happens? Who takes their hand when they leave West Hartford? Whether they play sport or sing or draw or speak at the college level or not, who is going to take their hand and lead them forward so they become CEOs? Susie held my hand every step of the way, every step, no matter where I lived or what I did. We need Susies. So tonight your call is to be a Susie. And there's no playbook for that. You just have to be one. But you know what that is in your heart because somebody was a Susie for you. And we just have to commit to them that we're going to be their Susie. We also need to develop mentors, not just a pipeline of opportunities and situations for them to step in by themselves, but somebody has to tap them, hold their hand, introduce them to a chance. There's a great children's book, What Do You Do with a Chance? Read that book and be that chance, that human chance for them, and stay with them constantly. We have got, no profession is easy. We know that executive coaches, mentors exist in any profession. No profession's easy, but sport is complicated. The arts are complicated. We have details and we have dogma. That's why mentorship is more important than ever in this ecosystem for them. We absolutely need to commit to a generational mindset. When we talk about passing the torch, it's literally handing them the flame, keeping it lit, and not setting it down. We have to hold it high. And we have to hold them high so that when they fly somewhere and land back home, they step on shoulders. We have to collaborate across organizations. We don't need research to remind us that we are better together than we are alone. We can't do it alone. No national organization can do it. No school system can do it. No superintendent, no mayor, No choir leader can do it alone. We have to do it together. We have to pass the torch. So please promise these young women and promise the young men that Title IX is for them. It's been 50 years, but we have a long way to go as we stand on the shoulders of greatness and celebrate where we've come, so that we can respect the past, we can be realistic about the present, and extremely optimistic about the future, the public and private victories that await everyone. Thank you, Patsy Mink, for Title IX. Thank you, Susie, for all you are. Thank you, West Hartford. Good luck.
Another round of applause for Dr. Niehoff. Dr. Carissa Niehoff, you are truth. Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for reminding us of the foundation of Title IX. You know, it's built on access, opportunity, and equity, equality. Thank you for that reminder, and for all. Access, like what Dan is providing here tonight, and Julie as well, for our deaf and hard of hearing community. Thank you for reminding us of that. Thank you for offering both our young men and women windows and mirrors to the world and the world around us. You represent all the things that we are doing right. And I just want to thank you also for, in the lobby when we met this evening, just really affirming the hard work that we're doing here in this district. Thank you for supporting that. So as we near the end of this wonderful program, we have a historical marker to present, and so that this legacy lives on and can be a primary educational source for others and a resource for the 100th anniversary and celebration of Title IX. I'd like to re-invite Mayor Cantor and Superintendent Moore back up to the stage. I'd also like to invite West Hartford's town librarian, Lauren Ermsher, to join us for this presentation. Susie D'Onofrio, where are you? You deserve to be up here. Come on up here. Susie D'Onofrio, teacher, coach, first woman athletic director in West Hartford Public Schools. Madeline Mancini, Conard High School athlete. I'm going to turn the mic over to you and let you do the honors.
Thank you, Dr. Haskins. Good evening. My name is Madeline Mancini, and I'm currently a freshman at Conard High School. I am also the granddaughter of former board chairwoman Madeline McKernan, who is chairwoman during the passing of Title IX. I have the privilege of being here tonight to celebrate the anniversary of this trademark law, Title IX, and to show my appreciation for the people who made this happen. One of the key people to advocate for girls' sports in West Hartford was Dr. Susie D'Onofrio. We have seen in the films and heard throughout the evening of the great impact she had in this process. I have been fortunate to have known Dr. D'Onofrio since I was born, and tonight I could not be more pleased to have the honor of introducing her. She is a mentor, leader, and role model to me and so many others. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Susie D'Onofrio to the stage.
Just give me a minute because I have to have my partner here, Jane Rosencrantz. And Jane and I were hired in 1970 as two young, feisty physical education teachers, and Jane lives, we're the last of the 6 pioneers, and she lives in California, and we spent many wonderful, wonderful hours on the phone talking about this. She's as much a part of this night as I have been so fortunate to be here and personally to hear all of your wonderful things you had to say. The book that we wrote together really is a reflection of all of us. And before I go any farther, I would like to invite all the members of what we call ourselves the 50th team, all of the people who came together to contribute to the book and to put this evening together. I'd like them to come on stage, please. Come on, don't be, come on. While they're coming up, Jane couldn't come from California, but I do want to mention that Carson Bond, our pilot, did come all the way from California for tonight. So Carson, thank you so much. Is there any way we can turn the lights up? Is Ann up here? Ann, are you controlling the lights? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Get over here. Right over here. You know, 50, hold a second. I never colored inside the lines, so. Shocker. I know. You know, the best part of this whole process has been reconnecting the wonderful and talented coaches at Hall and Conard. You know, we started this so long ago, we didn't think about history. We did it because we had these great kids at Hall and Conard that wanted to play so badly. And how could you say no to them? I mean, it just seemed like the right thing to do. And when Maddie Mancini was interviewing me, she said, she calls me Grandma Susie, sorry. She said, Grandma Susie, did you have girls' sports in high school? And I said, no. And she said, did you think anything was unusual about that? And I said, no, which is kind of interesting because my team was my band. I was the head majorette of this huge band outside of Pittsburgh. And that was my team. So I felt like I belonged to something. Little did I know that 6 years later I would be sitting talking to Ann's mom, Grace's and Maggie's grandmother, about how we could get girls' sports started when she was the chairman of the Board of Education. And you know, it's just been such an amazing journey, but we did it together. We did it as a team. So we started as a team 50 years ago, and that's how you make things happen. And tonight is just a result of that. I wish the lights were up because I want to see all of your faces. I am so grateful for this evening and to see, oh, thank you. And to see all of these, to see all of you here. And the other thing that makes me so grateful is that talking to, you know, I was a Conard coach before I became the athletic director for Hall and Conard. And when I contacted you, Randy and Terry and Marie, it was like we were all one team. And it was so wonderful because it didn't, you know, we always used to say we cheered as hard as we could for each other until we played each other. And then, of course, and that's what Jane said when we first, you know, Jane and I hadn't talked since 1976 when she left. And we talked about what we remembered. And she said, don't you remember how unified we were and how hard we worked? But we didn't think about making history. We just did what was right for the girls. And I said, absolutely. She said, but don't you remember when it was time to play? Like, did you feel competitive? And I go, yeah, of course. You know, but we just had so many, I do this because I hope you're watching Jane through WHC TV or YouTube. We'll make sure she gets it. She was just such an inspiration, I know, to the Hall athletes, but you need to understand we were a team townwide. And we were so grateful for the incredible support that we received from our male coaches. You know, we talked about the women a lot today, and I have to tell you, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have the amazing, amazing support of all of our male coaches at Hall and Conard at the time. They were unbelievable. You know, from Frank Robinson and Dave Deacon and Bob Chalmers and the Fitzy and Frank Denolfo, my husband, who says hello, by the way. He's 90 and a half. He's one of the last of the old coaches. And but I married him because I thought, you know, this is good. So and Bob Key and George Beaudry and Norm Johnson. And, you know, we had so much fun together. We were really a family. And they worked as hard for us, getting us what we needed for the girls. And on that little clip that Ann put together when we said, I'll never forget this, I was 23 years old. What did I know? Standing at that board meeting when that board member said, what sports would you cut for boys? And I just remember saying to this day, and I'm 75 now, and to this day I say, oh, please pass this. How could we ever wake up tomorrow morning and tell these girls we couldn't have sports for them anymore? So I'm just very thankful for that. And as a mother of 2 sons, I'm very much aware of how important it is for men and women to work together, and for men not to feel less than because of all the things we're doing as women. I think that's important. We need to have the same for everyone, and that's just so critical. I just want to take a minute, and I know, Ann, I know we're over time, but I have to just take a minute and recognize this group. You met so many of them on stage, and so I'm not going to repeat everybody's name again. But I do have to tell you that Sue McAuliffe-Kearney, Sue, could you step forward, please? Sue, you know, Sue and I were competitive coaches, and we said to each other, it's been 50 years, well, 49 for her. 49 for her. That, you know, and said this to Betty too, we didn't get to know each other as young women when we coached on different sides of town. We were friends, but we were so busy taking care of you that we really never got a chance to know each other. And so I'm so grateful that through this experience, we've all reconnected. Yep. And I have thought I knew Sue until I started talking to her more and interviewing her and reading your reflections. This woman she's still coaching. This is her 49th year at Hall High School. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. And she deserved all the accolades in the world. And if you haven't bought your book already, which is only $20 in the lobby when you leave, I encourage you to, because all of your stories are in there. All of the reflections that student athletes and coaches wrote and got them to me by March 12th, they're all in there. But you know, all you have to do is read them. And I said to Sue and many of the coaches, read those because you will see the amazing impact, Sue, you have made on kids over 49 years. You are a gift. You are a gift. You are a gift. And her daughter, Christina, where are you, Christina? Her daughter, Christina, who's a PA, she actually wrote Sue's reflection. And bring the Kleenex when you read it, because it's amazing. It really is. But Sue, I want to thank you for the impact that you've made on so many kids over the years, and passing the torch from year to year. And we promised her she can write the next book in 50 years. But thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. And, you know, I was the first female athletic director in '79, and Betty took over my teams when I went on for my doctorate. But one of the things that we talked about, she came back and she was athletic director for 20 years, from 1996 to 2016. And we were just saying today when we were putting things together, some wonderful things we've learned about each other over these 50 years, and that we did things for the girls. And she was one of the first girls that we did it for. But for those 20 years, the entire interscholastic athletic program for boys and girls was led by women for the first time. Betty was the athletic director. Mary Ann Seguro. Mary Ann, you didn't come up, did you? You said you weren't going to, but she's somewhere. And Carrie Roller. And those three women for 20 years really did a wonderful job as we passed the torch, and you continue to pass the torch, so thank you. And we have our two parents we want to make sure we recognize. Betty's, is your mom still here? Mrs. Remingino? Give us a wave. And Mr. Hungerford, you saw them. Hey, there they are. There they are. those Mr. Hungerford and Mrs. Remingino represent all of the parents who worked so hard to get things started, and we'll be forever grateful. And Mrs. Remingino, I heard the stories that you were just as good an athlete as your husband, and but you just never got a chance to play. So I hope you're shining and feeling all warm inside about what we're able to do for your girls, and Mr. Hungerford for your 7 wonderful Hungerford girls who are all here tonight, all 7 Hungerfords from Conard. 2 people who, are just amazing anyway, because in addition to their regular jobs, they put this all together. So I want you to meet Mary Mackey. Mary, would you step forward, please? Mary was responsible for formatting our book. Any mistakes you see are not hers. We did that intentionally because if you find any of the corrections, and you report them to your athletic director, Jason, or the assistant athletic director, you will get a free season pass, okay? So just keep that in mind as well. So Mary not only formatted our book, but she also worked very, very closely in creating this. And clearly tonight, we wouldn't have what we have without Ann McKernan. And come on, get up here, get up here. Her mom was one of my role models. And she, there weren't a lot of women doing those kinds of things she did. She led the Board of Education. She worked on town council. And I remember looking up to her when I was, when I came to town at 21 or 22 years old, and wow, this woman's not afraid to talk. She's not afraid to speak up. You can match her against anybody. And I really learned from her, and I just am so grateful that she was such a mentor for me, and that we became such good family friends. And Ann and I have had a chance to work in a lot of different ways. She was a student athlete when I was athletic director, but here is another gifted woman. And she's done, how about a standing ovation for what she put together tonight? This is hers, this is hers. This was her program tonight. I don't care, I know Wildboard. This was hers. I could stand and talk about each one of these, but Ann and Mary put this together tonight, and again, a lot of team effort, a lot of people behind, but here's our head coach right here. She did a super job. Thank you, Ann. Thank you. And Rosina, I can't even imagine a better MC. Holy smokes. What a great job you did. What a great job you did. So Jane, are you ready? We have a presentation to make. So we would like Mayor Cantor, who I have just grown to love as from the time I've known her as a student athlete at Conard and Hall. Yep. And she can motivate you. She's a great leader in our town. And we would like to present our short history of 50 years. You need to understand when you read this, the focus is a lot on history, about what West Hartford is all about, but also on a large part of this is on the transformational decade of the 1970s, because that's really where things happened. So while we included each decade since then, you need to know these women of the 70s really made a huge difference. Included in here are all of your reflections, and all of the coaches and the student athletes, because you have a great story to tell, and it's all right here. So I want to thank you for that. So Ann, if you would present this, please, to Sherry Cantor, our mayor. To our new director of libraries, Laura, Ann. And to the best superintendent anybody could ever want, Tom Moore. I want to thank you for sharing this evening. It's been really, really special. And it's been a privilege with Jane, to pass the torch, and to all our coaches and our student athletes. There aren't any words. There just really aren't. Continue to do your good work, and you don't have to pass the torch just in sports. Pass the torch each day and make each person a better person than they are. Sherry? There we go. Oh, you need this way, right? How do you want here? I'll just move this over for you.
Just that picture on the front, those are my brother's tube socks. So just saying. Anyway, I just want to give a recognition to Our current board chair is here, and the tireless work she does on behalf of our West Hartford Public Schools, Dr. Lorna Thomas Farquharson, and thank you so much. It has been a remarkable evening. This is really an incredible team, and the coach, assistant coach, and come up here now. I'm teasing. Really, the tremendous work. But also the team that leads our schools. Tom, thank you so much for your tremendous work. All right, formal official proclamation. Whereas June 23rd, 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of the landmark Title IX legislation that contained these 37 words in the Education Amendment of 1972 that changed America forever, as we heard from Dr. Niehoff, how important. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. And whereas the law took on a civil rights role that started a social revolution that impacted girls and women on not just the playing fields, but opened doors of opportunities and experiences in classrooms, colleges, jobs, and careers. And whereas although we have seen tremendous advances over the last 50 years, challenges still remain and work must continue to promote equity through education and policies that ensure fair, respectful, and dignified treatment for all people. And whereas the West Hartford Public Schools demonstrated leadership and vision due to the collaborative team effort of students, parents, community members, school leaders, founding coaches Susie Donalfo, Karen Roberts, Justine Clark, Jane Rosenkrantz, Sally Warren, Marianne Berlin, Athletic Director Dale Harper, and Madeline McKernan, Board of Education Chair, established the first official girls interscholastic sports program for Conard and Hall in the spring of 1972, several months prior to the adoption of Title IX, demonstrating courage, commitment, and leadership. And whereas the transformative decade of the 1970s set the foundation for years to come by passing the torch, standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, and today we reflect on the profound changes this legislation has helped to bring about in American education, including changing expectations of women's achievements. Now therefore be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby mark and honor the 50th anniversary and celebrate all of the pioneers and trailblazers who paved the way and passed the torch to build on their legacy. Thank you and congratulations.
Carissa, thank you for being here today. As you can see by the incredibly talented woman she is, you surround yourself with good people. And she just, I didn't make her, she made herself. She's just an amazing person, as every single one of you are in here as well. So thank you for a beautiful evening. And where are you? Do you want to close this out? Oh, Rosina, of course, you're the MC.
I'm going to turn this back because I'm a rule follower and I do color in the lines. But I'd be remiss if I did not give my colleague and my friend his proper acknowledgement. Jason, I don't need notes to acknowledge, as you know, you were filling some pretty big shoes, and I am grateful, we're all grateful for you staying in the race and passing the torch, so thank you for that. So as we conclude this program, please join me once again to thank everyone who spoke, represented, overcame hurdles to clear paths. We have so much to celebrate because of all of these people, but also because of you. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. You are all change agents, whether you're athletes, scholars, or anything else. You're change agents just for being here. And I just want to say to my friend, accolades again to Ann McKernan for your vision, your planning, your execution of every detail of this program. It just cannot be overstated. Your late mother, Madeline McKernan, I'm sure that she'll be proud. She would be proud of you. And I think we all agree. This concludes This concludes our passing of the torch, Title IX program. But the celebration, as Tatiana said, must never end. The work will not end. We will keep the race going. Good night, everybody. You'll see you in 50 years.